You do not need a better strategy. You do not need a new indicator. You do not need another course, another mentor, another chart pattern to memorize. What you need, and what almost no one is willing to talk about, is the ability to actually use the edge you already have. And right now, you cannot. Not because you lack skill, not because the market is rigged against you, but because your own mind is sabotaging every single trade you take, and you do not even know it is happening. That is the uncomfortable truth that Mark Douglas spent his entire career trying to get traders to understand. Your edge is not in your system, your edge is in your head. And until you learn to identify what is happening inside your mind when you trade, no strategy on earth will save you. This is exactly why tools like the Speculator's Journal exist, to give you a way to actually see the mental patterns that remain invisible to you in real time. Something Mark Douglas could only ask traders to do through sheer honesty and self-reflection, but never hand them a tool to accomplish. The link is in the description if you want to explore it later. But right now, let me show you exactly what your mental edge is, where it lives, and how to find it. Let me describe your trading life, and you tell me if this sounds familiar. You spend hours on your analysis. You study your charts. You identify a setup that meets every single criterion in your plan. And then, the moment you are about to place the trade, something shifts. A tightness in your chest, a thought that whispers, "What if this one loses?" And suddenly, you hesitate. You wait for one more confirmation. You shrink your position size, trade, or you skip the trade entirely, and then you watch it go exactly where you predicted it would without you on it. Or, here is the other version, you take the trade, it moves in your favor. You are up $20, $30, $50, and instead of letting your plan play out, you grab the profit. You close early. You feel relief, not satisfaction, not confidence relief, like you escaped something dangerous. And then you watch the trade continue running another 100 points without you. Or maybe this is your version. You take a loss, a clean, rules-based loss, the kind of loss that should mean nothing, and yet it grinds on you. It sits in your stomach like a stone, and within 10 minutes you are back in the market, not because you see a setup, but because you need to get that money back. You need to prove you were right. You need to erase the feeling of being wrong. Here is what I want you to understand. Every single one of these behaviors, the hesitation, the early exit, the revenge trade, they are not mistakes, they are symptoms. They are the visible evidence of an invisible problem. And the invisible problem is this: your beliefs about trading are in direct conflict with how markets actually operate. Mark Douglas observed this exact pattern in thousands of traders over decades of working with them one-on-one. The traders who came to him were not stupid. They were not lazy. Many of them had brilliant analytical minds and sophisticated systems, but they could not execute. And the reason they could not execute is the same reason you cannot execute right now. Their beliefs were creating internal friction that made consistent action impossible. I know what you are thinking. You are thinking, my beliefs are fine, I believe in my strategy, I have back-tested it, I trust the numbers. But that is not the kind of belief I am talking about. The beliefs that destroy you are the ones you do not know you have. The ones that operate beneath the surface of your conscious awareness, silently shaping every decision, and those are the ones we need to find. Here is the lie you have been told your entire trading life. You have been told that your edge is your strategy. That if you find the right combination of indicators, the right entry criteria, the right risk to reward ratio, you will become consistently profitable. And so you spend months, sometimes years, searching for the perfect system. You optimize, you backtest, you curve fit, you subscribe to signal services, you buy courses, you do everything in your power to sharpen your analytical edge. And none of it works. Not because the strategies are bad. Many of them are perfectly fine. It does not work because you are solving the wrong problem. Let me explain why. Your strategy gives you a statistical advantage over a large sample of trades. That is real, that is valuable. But that statistical advantage can only express itself if you execute it consistently without interference over that large sample. And you cannot do that because your mind treats every individual trade as though it matters enormously. Your survival instincts fire, your ego activates, your need to be right overrides your need to be consistent. And so the edge that exists on paper never becomes the edge that exists in your trading account. Mark Douglas described this as the fundamental disconnect in trading the gap between knowing what to do and being able to do it. You know what to do. You have the information, but knowing and doing are separated by an ocean of psychological interference. And the bridge across that ocean, the only bridge that exists, is what he spent his career teaching people to build, the mental edge. The ability to think in probabilities so deeply, so genuinely, that the outcome of any individual trade produces no emotional disruption in you whatsoever. Not suppressed emotion, not controlled emotion, genuine indifference to the result. Think of it this way. A casino owner does not sweat when a gambler wins a hand of blackjack. The casino owner knows, not hopes, not believes, but knows with certainty that the house edge will express itself over thousands of hands. Any single hand is meaningless. It is statistical noise. And so the casino owner has no emotional reaction to it. That is the mental edge. And that is precisely what you do not have. You react to every trade as if it is the trade, the one that defines you, the one that proves you are smart or stupid, good or bad, worthy or unworthy. And as long as you react that way, your strategy is irrelevant. Your analytical edge is dead before it arrives. So the question is not, what is my edge? The question is, why can I not use the edge I already have? And the answer is buried in your beliefs. Let me give you the exact process for identifying your mental edge and learning to operate from it every day. This is not theory. This is a daily practice. And if you do it with genuine discipline, it will change everything about your relationship with the markets. The first practice is what I call the belief audit. This is non-negotiable. Here is the rule. Before you trade each day, before you even open a chart, you sit down with a blank page and you answer one question. What do I believe will happen today? And you write whatever comes out. Do not filter it. Do not try to make it sound rational or impressive. Write the raw, unedited truth of what you actually expect. Let me tell you why this matters. Your beliefs are the invisible operating system that runs every decision you make in the markets. If you believe, somewhere deep down, that you need to make money today to justify calling yourself a trader, that belief will distort every single action you take. You will overtrade. You will force setups that are not there. You will hold losers too long because closing them means admitting you were wrong and your identity cannot tolerate being wrong, and you will never see any of this happening in real time. Because beliefs do not announce themselves. They operate in the background, shaping your perception before you are even aware a decision has been made. The belief audit drags them into the light. I know what you are thinking. You are thinking, I do not have hidden beliefs. I am rational. I follow my plan. But let me ask you something. Have you ever skipped a valid setup because you had just taken a loss? Have you ever doubled your position size because you were on a winning streak? Have you ever felt physically uncomfortable placing a trade even though it met every criterion in your system? Those are not random behaviors. Those are beliefs expressing themselves through action. And until you can name them, you cannot change them. Here is exactly what the belief audit looks like in practice. You sit down on a Monday morning, you write, I expect to make money this week because my setups have been working well recently. Stop. Read that sentence back to yourself. Do you see the problem you are expecting? You are not approaching the market with neutrality. You are approaching it with a prediction based on recent results. And that prediction will create disappointment or worse, recklessness when the market does something different, which it will. Because the market does not owe you a continuation of recent performance. Now rewrite it. I do not know what will happen this week. My job is to identify my setups and execute them without variation. The outcome of any individual trade is irrelevant to my long-term edge. That is a belief aligned with how the market actually works. That is where the mental edge begins. You do this every single morning, 5 minutes, no exceptions, no shortcuts. Now let me talk about the second practice, and this one may be even more important. I call it the conflict detector. Here is the rule. During your trading session, you monitor yourself, not the market, not the price, yourself for any sign of internal friction, tightness in your chest, a speeding heartbeat, a sudden urge to act that feels urgent, a feeling of anxiety, excitement, or dread. Any of these signals means your beliefs are in conflict with what the market is showing you. And when your beliefs are in conflict with reality, you will lose. Every time. This is non-negotiable. Let me explain the psychology behind this. Your body responds to your beliefs faster than your conscious mind can process them. When you feel tension before a trade, that tension is not random noise. It is your subconscious mind detecting a threat. Not a real threat, a perceived threat to your ego, your account balance, your self-image as a competent person. And when you feel excitement, that excitement is equally informative. It is your dopamine system anticipating a reward, pulling you toward action that feels good rather than action that is correct. Both states, the anxiety and the excitement, are signals that you have left the mental edge, because the mental edge feels like nothing. It feels neutral, it feels calm, it feels, frankly, boring. Now I know what you are thinking. You are thinking, if I ignore my instincts, I will miss important information. But here is the critical distinction. Your instincts about the market are not about the market. They are about you. They are your unexamined beliefs projecting themselves onto price action. And the moment you confuse your emotional state with market information, you have lost the mental edge entirely. Here is how you practice the conflict detector. You set a timer. Every 30 minutes during your trading session, the timer goes off. When it does, you stop. You do not look at your charts. You close your eyes for 10 seconds and you ask yourself one question. What am I feeling right now and why? Then you write a single sentence. Feeling anxious because I am in a losing trade and I want to move my stop. Feeling excited because I see a big move forming and I want to double my size. Feeling bored because nothing is happening and I want to force a trade just to feel something. That single sentence is worth more than any technical indicator you will ever put on a chart, because it tells you whether you are operating from your mental edge or from your emotional noise. And if you are operating from emotional noise, you stop trading. You step away. You do not return until the noise subsides. This is where something like the speculator's journal becomes far more than a trade log. It becomes the mirror you could never hold up to yourself in real time. When you track these emotional states alongside your actual trades, patterns emerge that are impossible to see in the moment. You start to notice that every time you feel a specific way, you make a specific mistake. That connection between the feeling and the behavior is the key to everything. It is the invisible thread that, once you can see it, gives you the power to cut it. The link is in the description if you want to look into it. But let me keep going, because the next practice builds directly on this one. The third practice is the execution scorecard. And this is the one that will fundamentally rewire how you define success as a trader. Here is the rule. At the end of every trading day, you score yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. But you do not score yourself on how much money you made or lost. You score yourself on one thing only: how faithfully you executed your process. Did you take every valid setup that appeared? Did you skip any trades out of fear? Did you take any trades out of boredom or revenge? Did you follow your exit rules without exception? Did you manage your risk exactly according to your plan? This is non-negotiable. I, Mark Douglas, have watched this single practice transform more traders than any strategy, any indicator, any piece of market analysis ever could. Because it attacks the root of the problem, it separates performance from outcome. And most traders are completely addicted to outcome. Let me tell you why most traders resist this idea with every fiber of their being. They measure their day by their profit and loss. Green day means good day, red day means bad day. And that measurement system is slowly, quietly destroying them, because it reinforces the most dangerous belief a trader can hold, that the outcome of today's trades tells you something meaningful about the quality of your trading today. It does not. Not on any single day, not on any single week. The outcome tells you about the probabilistic distribution of your edge over a sample that is far too small to draw conclusions from. That is all it tells you. Let me give you a concrete example so this is absolutely clear. You follow your rules perfectly, you take 3 setups, all 3 lose, your account is down $200. By the outcome metric, this was a terrible day. You feel discouraged, you question your system, you consider changing something. But by the execution metric, this was a perfect day. A 10 out of 10. You did exactly what a professional trader does. You identified your edge, you executed without interference, and you accepted the probabilistic outcome without emotional disruption. That is mastery. And it happened on a losing day. Now here is the other side. You break every rule you have. You chase a trade that is not in your plan, you get lucky, the market moves in your favor, you make $500. By the outcome metric, this was a fantastic day. You feel smart, you feel validated, but by the execution metric, this was a disaster, a 2 out of 10, because you just reinforced every single destructive behavior pattern that will eventually inevitably destroy your account. The execution scorecard rewires your brain. It teaches you a new definition of winning. Winning is not making money today. Winning is executing your process today. And when you internalize that definition, really internalize it, not just nod along with it intellectually, your entire relationship with trading transforms. Now I know what you are thinking. You are thinking, this sounds nice, but at the end of the day, I need to make money. I have bills, I have goals, I cannot just pretend P&L does not matter. And you are absolutely right. You do need to make money. But here is the paradox that every professional trader understands and every struggling trader refuses to accept. The fastest path to making money consistently is to stop caring about the money on any individual day. The money is a byproduct, a downstream result of correct execution repeated over a sufficient number of trades. Focus on the execution. The money follows. Focus on the money. The execution collapses every single time. But there is something even deeper than the scorecard, something that separates traders who occasionally have good stretches from traders who are permanently transformed. Let me explain. The fourth practice is the most important one. I call it the neutrality practice, and it addresses the deepest layer of the problem. Here is the truth that very few traders are willing to face. Emotional neutrality in trading is not about controlling your emotions. It is not about suppressing fear. It is not about ignoring excitement. It is about arriving at a genuine state of indifference to the outcome of any single trade. And you cannot reach that state through willpower alone. You can only reach it through a fundamental change in what you believe. Let me explain what I mean. Right now, somewhere inside your belief system, there is a conviction that the next trade matters, that it tells you something about whether you are a good trader or a bad one, that the outcome is a verdict on your ability, your intelligence, your worth as a person, and as long as that conviction exists, even if you are not consciously aware of it, you will never be neutral, because every trade carries the full weight of your identity, and you cannot be indifferent to something that feels like a judgment of who you are. The neutrality practice is designed to dissolve that conviction, and it works like this. Every morning, before you trade, you say the following sentence out loud. Not in your head, out loud, so you hear your own voice saying the words, I do not know what will happen on the next trade. I do not need to know. My edge plays out over hundreds of trades, and this one is just one of them. The outcome of this trade tells me nothing about who I am as a trader. I know what you are thinking. You are thinking this is ridiculous. That talking to yourself is not going to change how you feel when you are staring at a losing position. But you are wrong. Verbal repetition is one of the most powerful tools for installing new beliefs that exists. Elite athletes use it before competition. Performers use it before stepping on stage. Special operations personnel use it under extreme stress. The words you speak out loud create neural pathways that, with repetition, become automatic thought patterns. And automatic thought patterns are the very definition of a belief. You say this sentence every morning. You say it before every trade. And here is the key. You say it after every trade, especially after a loss, especially after a win, because both losses and wins have the power to distort your belief system in dangerous ways. A loss can install the belief that your edge is broken. A win can install the belief that you are invincible. Both beliefs are false. Both beliefs will destroy you. And the neutrality practice inoculates you against both of them. Think about a coin flip. If you flip a fair coin 10 times and it comes up heads 7 times, do you suddenly believe the coin is biased? Of course not. You understand that small samples produce skewed distributions. You do not attach meaning to any individual flip. You do not feel excited when it lands heads. You do not feel anxious when it lands tails. You are neutral, genuinely, effortlessly neutral. That is exactly how you need to relate to your trades. Each trade is one flip within a system that has a slight statistical edge in your favor. The individual flip is noise. The aggregate is signal. Your entire job, your only job, is to stay neutral through the noise long enough for the signal to emerge. You do not know what will happen on the next trade. You do not need to know. Say it again. You do not know what will happen on the next trade. You do not need to know. Let me bring everything together now. Your mental edge is not something you discover once and possess forever. It is not a piece of knowledge you acquire. It is a state you cultivate through daily practice, a discipline of continually aligning your beliefs with the probabilistic reality of how markets work. And the 4 practices I have given you today are the tools for that alignment. The belief audit. Every morning, write down what you believe will happen. Examine it honestly. Correct any prediction, any expectation, any attachment to outcome. Align your beliefs with probability. The conflict detector. Every 30 minutes during your session, check your emotional state. Name it. Write it down in a single sentence. If you are not neutral, step away. Do not trade from emotional noise. The execution scorecard. Every evening, score yourself on process and only on process. Redefine winning as faithful execution, not as profit. The neutrality practice. Every morning, before every trade, and after every trade, speak the truth out loud until it becomes the truth you live by. You do not know what will happen on the next trade. You do not need to know. Do these 4 things every single day for 6 months, and I promise you, your trading will be unrecognizable. Not because you found a new strategy, not because you discovered a better indicator, but because you removed the internal interference that was preventing your existing edge from ever reaching your account. Let me tell you what your life looks like 6 months from now if you commit to this fully. You wake up, you sit down, you do your belief audit, it takes 5 minutes, you feel calm, you open your charts, you see a setup that meets your criteria. You take it without hesitation, not because you are reckless, but because you have no emotional attachment to the outcome. The trade loses. You feel nothing. Not because you are numb, because you genuinely understand that this trade is one of 1,000 and it carries no more meaning than a single coin flip. You write your conflict detector note. Neutral, calm, no friction. You continue your session. Another setup appears. You take it, it wins. You feel nothing different than you felt after the loss. You follow your exit rules exactly. You do not add to the position. You do not move your profit target. At the end of the day, you score yourself. 9 out of 10. One small moment of hesitation that you caught and corrected in real time. You close your computer. You go live your life. You do not check your phone. You do not replay trades in your head. You are done. That is mastery. And it does not look the way you thought it would. It does not feel like excitement. It does not produce adrenaline. It does not generate stories you want to tell people at dinner. It looks like a person doing their job with quiet, relentless, almost invisible precision. And it produces the one thing that no amount of excitement, no amount of brilliance, and no amount of willpower ever will: consistent results, month after month, year after year. Mark Douglas dedicated his life to this single idea, that the barrier between you and consistent profitability is not a lack of information, it is the need for transformation. Not learning more, but becoming different. Not acquiring another piece of knowledge, but dissolving the beliefs that prevent you from acting on the knowledge you already possess. And if you take nothing else from today, take this. You already have what you need. Your edge exists. It is right there in your strategy, in your back tests, in your trading plan. The only thing standing between you and that edge is you. Your beliefs, your emotional reactions, your need to be right instead of your willingness to be consistent. Find the beliefs that do not serve you. Name them. Challenge them. Replace them with beliefs that reflect how markets actually work. And then execute, not with courage, not with confidence, not with hope, but with the quiet indifference of someone who knows that the next trade does not define them, because it does not. And if you are serious about finally seeing these patterns laid bare, the connection between what you feel and what you do, the recurring mistakes you cannot catch in the moment. The Speculator's Journal was designed for exactly this kind of self-observation. It is the structured mirror that Mark Douglas could only describe to his students but never hand to them. The link is in the description whenever you are ready. Your edge is not out there somewhere. It never was. It is in here. And now you know how to find it.